So happy Cinco de Mayo. Today is 555, the triple goddess, the 555, which is also 23. If you look at the 2 plus 3, that's 5, which is 5 is the Star of David. So why the reason why today is very, very symbolic, is very powerful, is we are stepping into the 5 dimension. We are in 5G right now, the 5G. So now we're stepping into the 5D, the 5 dimension, which corona has to take place. The corona is a high vibration light that has to basically cleanse the consciousness, basically cleanse the mind, controlling the mind and bring the mind back into the heart. This is why Zoom was very powerful. You zoom in, everything became virtual reality. But people are now understanding the virtual reality is actually going within ourselves. But again, we will keep spinning this until we actually understand that what happened is we had to basically look with our eyes, the mask covered, to see through our eyes. But then people will spin this as, oh, the government is trying to shut you up. It's not necessarily about shutting you up. It's about the mind. The restless mind is always constantly going. You have to watch, observe through your eyes so you can connect. This is why the eye inside the pyramid, inside the triangle, is very, very powerful. But if you look at the triangle, that gives you 5, 5, 5, 5 on each side of the point, which is 15 again, which comes back to the 6, the male principle, or the 9, the Christ consciousness, which is inside the 6, inside the 9. So Cinco de Mayo for today is basically bringing that awareness of our 5th dimension body, the solar power within us. We are ushering into that. We just had the Easter, the Orthodox Easter. We're not celebrating the Chinese heritage. There's a reason why that is. So basically, you're talking about the dragon, the earth dragon. We stepped into the chi energy, the earth dragon, and now we are stepping into the Cinco de Mayo, but it's 555. So we are now going to be experiencing everything. We basically went through Trump, which basically brought up a lot of things in the darkness. The way we treat each other, the way we are to ourselves, and the way we are to each other. Trump was able to bring that energy, which also caused the Black Lives Matter, which was also talking about the darkness of the soul. We are also going into ourselves to dig deeper, but also it all started with Obama. Obama stayed for 8 years. Basically, there's a lot of people, there was polarity and divide that was within us. Obama brought that out. Trump actually magnified what was already within ourselves to bring it more out. Then Corona has to come to purify things. And then Kobe Bryant's dead, the Black Mamba, again. And then the Black Panther. And then I Can't Breathe. The I Can't Breathe, Black Lives Matter. All these things were all part of what was getting ready to basically help align us to the earth energy, to divine goddess energy, to the goddess energy, the God particle, the God body, the God mind, the God soul, that we call Christ consciousness. The one that people don't get confused with Jesus Christ. Jesus was in Christ. The Christ consciousness was the infinite 5D self. Christ consciousness, Jesus was a vessel to bring that. But it's not just that. There's so many other Christ beings that have come before Christ, that have come before Jesus, who also embodies the Christ consciousness. A lot of people that have come, they to elevate, bring the consciousness, the Christ consciousness back to our reality. Basically, the illusion of the reality that we are living in, they have to basically bust that bubble so that we can become one with the consciousness, the Christ consciousness around us. Basically coming back into the soul, which is like what we call heaven, or where we call the God essence is. And then so that we can leave the mind. The mind is where most people are stuck. This is where we are all stuck. And then we had to basically bust that bubble, the Christ consciousness that we see people talk about a lot associated with Jesus, is basically the heart. It's talking about unconditional love, freedom. And then that's exactly why the corona, the crown, has to happen to basically purify the cloud over our heads and then bring us down, descending into the heart. Okay, so this is why all these things is happening. The Black Lives Matter, the Black Panther dying, Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant dying, and with the helicopter out of Casa, I think Casablanca, I forgot that place in California, which was deliberate. Calasabasis, I think, something like that. If you genetically and numerologically, you can break that down. It will actually tell you that it's supposed to happen where it happened, and the people that died supposed to die. It's all part of the resurrection of the new consciousness. Like their authentic self, the authentic soul, the dark soul of the dark phoenix, the dark soul, the Christ light. So that has to come to basically purify things. It's all part of the divine plan, everything that's happening now. So we are stepping into the 555 before Mother's Day, the ninth. The ninth, it's always on May 9th, but 9 is the Christ consciousness number, which is the mother of Christ. She embodies this whole reality. She embodies this whole planet. She's the mother. Even if you look at this globe, you see, it's like a womb. If you look at it, it's like a womb, right? The moon with then showing the sun or the star. It's amazing, right? It's like a hollow. It's like it's like a darkness that radiates light, per se. So just understand that Cinco de Mayo, Cinco, Inco, the ma is like the spirit within you. Y-O, the you, the Christ within the O, the globe, the sun. So this is why this energy, you have to be ready, because there's gonna be so much things that's gonna happen. We are stepping into that 5D body right now. Finish the age of Aquarius kind of started that. So that means the air is important. This is why they're trying to make you cover your nose, but the air is important. The age of Aquarius is communication, is breathing. So this is when you're supposed to breathe in the Christ consciousness, to basically connect back to source, connect back to self, the soul, and then connect back to source, what we call God, the God essence of us. That authentic self, the authentic soul self, which is connected to all-knowing source. So this is why age of Aquarius is very, very, very important, because what is the polarity of age of Aquarius? Leo. So the Leo is the sun, and the Aquarius is the polarity of the sun. That means the dark side of the sun, the negative part of the sun, which is the Saturn. It connects to the Saturn and also Uranus. Uranus, it's a very, very creative mind, very divine feminine, dark divine feminine, the Hecate feminine. So this is why Uranus is very, 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 very vital. The age of Aquarius was bringing that. So we have to verbalize. We have to let our soul light shine. And then the Saturn is basically giving us the structure to basically, with the Saturn, giving us the consistency and the structure to speak, to embrace, with authority. The Saturn is very, is very dominatory, very authority figure, but you speak with such a freedom to be yourself, to speak in your authentic truth. That's what Saturn does. It gives you discipline. It gives you that to speak in your authentic truth. The Saturn, you fire the highest vibration of fire, which is what they say Lucifer, or like the Satan, right? The Saturn is basically that where you purify, you shun the devil, you fire up the darkness by basically being free to speak, to express yourself, to be in your authentic truth. So we're gonna, we started stepping into that, and all these things have happened. Death brings new life. So all this death have to happen. It was like the Black Mamba, the Black Panther, the Black Lives Matter, all these things. Then the Corona, which is very high vibration light, Christ light, had to shine. And now it's now huge in India. What does that tell you? Asia is as is now. So it's like that feminine energy. So it's in India right now, the Kali energy, which you see in Kamala Harris, the vice president, the vice, the V-I-C-E, the V-I-C-E, the V, the feminine, ice, is Isis. is now embodying, the divine masculine. It's now trying to bring balance. That's why she has to be the vice president to basically guide Biden, because she's the one that crowns, she's the queen that crowns the king. She's the one that anoints the king. So she has to be the vice. So this is why all these things are, she's from Oakland, the oak tree, which is ancient ancestry line. So this has to happen. Now, India is going through the corona as well. There's going to be a great purge that's going to happen there. And it's going to hit Africa too, because there's going to be a purge. We have to basically purge all those reality, those selfish reality that no longer serve us, that egotistical reality that no longer serve us has to be purged. So the 555 is going to usher us in where we can become more balanced, divine, masculine, feminine, centric, more balanced. It's not like very all macho, but basically have the balance. I would say more like The Rock. You see The Rock very macho, but yet very feminine. Talks about his mother, his kids, and then, his ancestry, and connects to the feminine energy, and then also to masculine. He's very, very, very both, very self-aware. This is why that it's not just, The Rock is not really a person. It's a consciousness. A consciousness that it's a consciousness of one. That means you can be masculine and yet be guided by the divine feminine. He is guided by the divine feminine. This is why he has to be in your face. This is why his light is shining so much, for you to see that you have to become an embodiment of this being. This being is both, is very strong, but he is guided by his family, by the love of his family, by the love of people. He is guided. He goes with his heart. He speaks his heart. He's self-aware. But you can also see how transparent he is, because you can see the forces that is guiding him. Very divine feminine. He's very good with his ex-wife. He's a very family-loving dad. Have beautiful daughters, and yet he's very empowering, uplifting, and cares about moving things forward. Cares about uplifting people to their higher self. Cares about things he does is always to bring some kind of ancestry awareness, to kind of bring some family connections, to kind of bring some kind of self-empowerment, to grow. There's always a message. The consciousness within The Rock is basically using him as an embodiment, of course, but just like there's so many others. There's a reason why Kevin Hart was also intertwined with The Rock. Kevin Hart, there's a laughter that is needed to be like a joker in a way. To be a joker, you have the same Rock, and then you see him in aspect of The Rock. Of Kevin Hart. You get to see that playful, childish self of The Rock and Kevin Hart as well. So you get to see the dynamic of that consciousness playing out in two very prominent consciousness. The very dark skin black dude, and a very in between both worlds, The Rock, which is very symbolic. He's on both sides, so he can connect to the lighter side and also to the darker side, which is very, very, very symbolic that he has to be that way. So those two people are very prominent figures. Of course, Will Smith as well, but there's certain consciousness that is prominent in Hollywood that is helping also to bring balance to the consciousness right now. And then there is a lot of things that the source is doing through others to basically bring balance, because it's very necessary. So we're gonna continue seeing a lot of this happening, because everything is happening to bring balance. Source that we call God is always constantly evolving and growing, and we use different energy to bring constant balance and to constantly elevate us. Happy Cinco de Mayo. That is basically celebrating your new, powerful solar self. Congratulations to 5D and beyond. This is your boy Gabriel. I vibe out.